Welcome back, dear students, to the second part of writing algorithms. Today, we are going to be dealing with selection control algorithms. That is, those algorithms where we are using selection control structure without wasting so much time. The first algorithm is to write an algorithm that takes two integers and prints the maximum. Okay, let's proceed. We have algorithm max. First of all, we have to understand the algorithm. How do I know that one number is greater than the other? Obviously, by doing what? A comparison. That is it. If I have x and y as my variable, if x is greater than y, then obviously it is the maximum. Otherwise, y otherwise sorry, if x is greater than y, then x is the maximum. Otherwise, which means x is not greater than y, then y will be the maximum. Take into consideration that x and y are equal, and in such a case, y is still considered as the maximum. Okay, we take our two numbers, num1 and num2, integers. Enter any two integer, num1, num2. From there, we do our comparison. If num1 is greater than num2, so I'm using a relational operator here, a logical operator, sorry. If a relational operator, if num1 is greater than num2, then we simply print the maximum of the two integers is num1, so that this is not in quotes, so it is instead the value that we printed. So if num1 is 5, it's going to print the maximum of the two integers is 5. Else, this else, what does it mean? That num1 is not greater than num2. And in that case, we simply print the maximum of the two integers is num2. That is it. We end if and we end our algorithm. That is it. Remember that we are having so many complex algorithms that makes use of these smaller algorithms. So do not take any of these algorithm that has been selected as algorithms that are too easy, because they are going to be used when we shall be dealing with complex ones, like they want to swap two numbers, they want to find the maximum. And I think that if, as you can see that we wrote a program for finding the maximum of two integers, you can equally write the program for calculating the minimum of two integers by simply changing this sign to a less than, and that will be all. And changing this and this too, then you change the name of the algorithm to algorithm min. Next question. Write an algorithm that takes an integer and determine if it is even or odd. A very important algorithm also. Now, let us understand what is an even number, what is an odd number. If you cannot answer this question, then it is going to be impossible for you to write the algorithm. Many students will say the definition we have since primary, that an even number is a number that does not gives a remainder, that does not leave a remainder when divided by 2. But dear students, you are already in high school. 795 is for geeks, and if you are not one, through this channel you will be one. All division operation returns a remainder. You have to understand that an even number, to properly define it, is simply an integer which when divided by 2 gives a remainder of 0. A mathematics student will tell you that an integer is a number that is perfectly divided by 2, and it is correct, because when we talk of the word perfect, it means that the remainder is not different from 0. That is it. And if a number is not even, then obviously it is odd. Okay, let us proceed. We When or how do we know that a number is even or odd? A number is divisible by 2 without a remainder is even, that is, the remainder is 0. I use this text for you guys to better understand. But now, how do I represent it mathematically? When you guys are saying, like I was telling you, an even number is a number divisible by 2 without a remainder, correct? But how do I represent it mathematically? If the remainder after dividing by 2 is 0, then it is even. That is it. But now, in terms of algorithm, what do we say? Remember that I told you of the underrated operator, which is the mode. The operator that we use in obtaining remainder after division is the mode. So that is, if I have a number, for me to know if the number is divisible by, if to know whether a number is even or odd, I need to obtain the remainder. And how do I obtain remainder? Using the operator mode. So if number mode 2 is equals to 0, therefore that number is even. As easy as that. So now we have our algorithm even odd. We begin. Remember that here we have only one integer, the number we are going to determine if it is even or odd. Print, enter an integer. We read the number. Now we ask ourselves, if number mod 2 is equals to 0, then we simply print the number entered is an even number. Else, if it is not even, then it is odd, and we end our program. Another student could still come and give as condition, if num mod 2 is equals to 1, then the number entered is odd, or else the number entered is even. It is still correct. Remember that for a particular problem, we have so many algorithms that can be used, and that is why the concept of algorithm efficiency and complexity comes in to determine which algorithm is the best to use for solving a particular problem. But always know that when a problem is given, it is rare to see that only one algorithm suits the particular problem. Okay, we proceed. Question number 3, a tough one. Write an algorithm that takes the three sides of a triangle. It determines if the three sides can actually form a triangle. If it can form a triangle, the algorithm should print the type of triangle. If it cannot, the program should print a triangle cannot be formed with this side. They added, note, a triangle can be formed if the sum of any two of its sides is above the third side. Also, the different types of triangle are equilateral, equal side, isosceles, two sides equal, and scalene, no side equal. Remember, for every programming question you have, there is always what we call problem understanding, because we assume that when we are exposing a problem to you, you are not aware, or you don't know, you have never heard about the program, about the problem. That is why in every question that is given to you at the GC, there is always a section where the program or the problem is clearly explained for you guys to understand. Okay, we proceed. A triangle can be formed if the sum of any two of its sides is above the third side. That is the first condition on which we shall focus. How many variables do we need here? 3, as specified here, the three sides of the triangle. A, B, and C, as you can see, that's my triangle. So for a triangle to be formed, those are the conditions, because they said the sum of any two sides should be above the third one. That is, B plus C should be above A, C plus A should be above B, and A plus B should be above C. That is the condition. Now, also, the different types of triangle are equilateral. They specify the different types. So, the different type we have, if A is equal to B is equal to C, that is, they are all equal, then we have equilateral triangle. In terms of computer, you can never come and put such a condition, dear students. Forget about it. It is not possible. But mathematically, it is possible. You need to know how to map mathematical expression in such a way that the computer will understand. Like, for example, you cannot say A is equal to B square, B to the power 2. In computer, you will say A is equal to B times B. You express it in terms of the computer. And here, the conditioner specifies that A should be equal to B and should be equal to C. In terms of a computer, it is related as what? A equals to B and B is equals to C. Okay. If A is equals to B or B is equals to C or A is equals to C, then we are talking about isosceles. If none of the above, then scalene. Guys, when you are having a particular case like this one, where you have different types, or let me say different conditions giving different results, it is always proper not to specify the condition of the last one. to save your time, because if a particular program have 5 different values for 5 different conditions, if the first 4 conditions are not satisfied, then obviously it's going to be the fifth, else precise. Okay, let's proceed. I have my algorithm triangle. Begin. So I take my three sides to be A, B, and C, as you can see on this diagram. Print, enter the three sides of the triangle. We read A, B, and C. Now, this is our condition for a triangle to be formed. This should hold, and this should equally hold. So I have if B plus C is greater than A, and C plus A is greater than B, and A plus B greater than C. It does not mean the condition specified does not mean that this should be okay or this or this. No, the three should be satisfied. That's why you have all these conditions separated by and. I will know that for an AND gate, for us to have true, all this should be true, because if this is true, but this is false, then a triangle cannot be formed. Then what do we have? We simply print a triangle can be formed using this site. In the question they said, if it can form a triangle, the algorithm should print the type. So still inside this if, what do I have? If A is equals to B and B is equals to C, as you can see here, equilateral triangle. So I print this triangle is an equilateral triangle. Next condition, if A is equals to B or B is equals to C or A is equals to C, what do we have? Else if, that's the condition given, then I should print the triangle is an isosceles triangle. And finally, the last case, because if it is not equilateral, it is not isosceles, then obviously it is scalene. That's why you simply have else. A student could still go and say else if A different from B and B different from C and A different from C. It is still correct, but it is, how will I say it? It is cumbersome. It is a condition that is useless, because if a triangle is not equilateral and it is not isosceles, then obviously it is scalene. So you see that this is the indentation I was talking about. As you can see, all this block is only inside this first if, the condition that specifies a triangle can be formed. Because if a triangle can be formed, then we proceed to determine the type. Else, meaning that a triangle cannot be formed, I simply print a triangle cannot be formed using this side. Then I end if and I end. From these two lines, you clearly see which particular block is under which. A student who will take this block and put it inside this one, we realize that the program will print a triangle cannot be formed using this side, and it will continue to print the type of triangle, which is wrong. So that is why we're talking about indentation, because in case I perform a dry run and there is a particular error, I can easily figure out which one performs, where is the error coming from. As you can see, this statement under this one, all this under this if, and this one under the else part. Good. In such a way, you will know that these errors correspond to this if, and so on and so forth. So guys, this is the algorithm, to the problem given in question 3. We move. Question 4. Write an algorithm that takes a positive integer and prints the day of the week corresponding to the number 1 to 7. If a number different from 1 to 7 is entered, the program should print invalid input. We realize that here we are going to perform comparison, because if it is 1, we have Monday. If it is 2, we have Tuesday. If it is 3, we have Wednesday, and so on. So we observe here that we have 6 different cases, 1 up to 7. And the best construct to use is the switch statement. Remember that, guys. I told you that a switch statement is proper when we have discrete values, fixed discrete values to use. Okay, so we have algorithm day. We have just one integer, the day the user will enter. Print, enter an integer. We read the day. Now, what do we have? Switch case 1, that is, in case the value of day is 1, what do I print? The input corresponds to Monday. Case 2, if the day enter is 2, corresponds to Tuesday, and so on and so forth. You have the different cases: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the program said, for a default, remember that for a switch case, a user can enter a value which does not correspond to the acceptable one. So you must have a default output or a default set of instructions that should be performed, that should be executed in case a value entered does not correspond to those that are accepted. And in this case, they said the program should print invalid input. So I have my default print invalid input. Then I end my switch, as you can see, and I'm supposed to end my program. So this continues right up to end. But due to the fact that you have to see the channel name, bye bye. Make sure you like, subscribe, and you share. So that is the algorithm we have. Now, guys, I will ask you guys to try and hide this algorithm. The WhatsApp channel, the Telegram channel is there, especially in Telegram channel where you can send your answers. In the WhatsApp channel, it will not be possible, but my personal number is given in the description of the WhatsApp channel. So you can try and hide the algorithm and PV me directly for me to check. The algorithm says write an algorithm that takes the three coefficient of a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c. So the coefficient here are a, b, and c, and print the nature of the root. Note, the nature of the root is determined using the discriminant, d equals to b squared minus 4ac. The root can be real if d is positive, equal if d is 0, and complex if d is negative. So I gave you all the different conditions in a coded manner. I want you guys to extract these different conditions and place in such a way that the computer can understand. Good luck, dear student. See you in the next video where we shall be talking about repetition control programs. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do not forget to like, to subscribe, and share it with your classmates all over Cameroon for our community to grow and to have a larger number of success in Advanced Level Computer Science 795. Thank you very much.